So I really wasn't planning on making this video because I never thought that a loot crate would come to Conqueror's Blade. I'm doing this unscripted, so I'm sorry if I ramble a little bit, but it's something that matters to me to know that this is in the game and that this is something the publisher and developers intend to do. So let's talk about the Legions of Flame crate that was added to the My Games market. If you're unfamiliar with the Legions of Flame crate, it was added very recently. It contains random rewards that are tiered based on how often it will be rolled, and it is a completely random system. Now, there is one major difference between this loot box and other loot boxes you might be familiar with in, let's say, Overwatch or another game that has them, and that is that it attempts to show you what the item you're buying is before you pay for it. Now, that may be argued on their end that it's no longer gambling because you know what you're getting. So if I click view, it says that if I spend $3 for this crate, I will get 100 sovereigns. If you're familiar with the conversion rate on sovereigns, that is a ripoff. That is $2 more than 100 sovereigns should be. But that is not the problem here. The problem is that it is still a loot box no matter when they show you what you're getting. If you know what you're buying, it doesn't change the psychological triggers related to something like this. The Skinner box phenomena has been known for many years. And the idea is that if you do an action, you get a reward, you're more likely to do that action again. Now, you might not consider 100 sovereigns a reward. And to that I say, well, there are plenty of other things you could have gotten on your first reveal. And if you're somebody that normally doesn't buy microtransactions, you may have seen, oh my god, I got 365 days of premium account. I'm going to spend the $3 right now. I'm going to buy this. And that's a way to get you interested in the system, to get you to make a first purchase if you've never made one before. And it's very important when games are looking at their profitability, how many of their users have paid. Because Conqueror's Blade is a free game, it's very important to try to get a little bit of money from as many people as you can. And once you make your first purchase, you're more likely to make a second or third purchase. And that's part of what they're driving by letting you view the item before you actually get to buy it. The other thing they're doing is trying to combat the impression that this is gambling. It is absolutely gambling. It doesn't matter if it's only cosmetics or if there's other actual rewards like premium time or sovereigns. You are spending money, getting a random reward. And the whole goal is not only so that you will buy whatever they show you, it's that you will roll again to see what the next box contains, and you might buy that too. And even if you get 100 sovereigns, you might say, oh, I bet I'll get a better item on the next one. Let me buy that, and I'll see what the next one is. And maybe I'll buy that one too, and then see what the next one is. And it's this whole idea of psychological triggers that get you to spend a little bit of money, and then spend a little bit more, and then keep going. That's where you get the concept of something like a person who might be considered a whale, which is somebody who spends thousands of dollars on a game. Because the developers or publishers or whoever has to create a system that's able to accept that kind of flow of currency, something that can absorb that much income without running out of things to buy. Now, you had things in this game before with a similar effect, something like being able to buy keys, or being able to buy expansions, and then the keys specifically not being bound, you could sell them to other players for silver. Nothing in this crate that I'm aware of can be resold for silver, but it's still you can spend sovereigns on keys, of course, in-game. But that's not the point of this. The point is that random roll, that psychological trigger to spend money, and that attempt to convert people who normally don't spend money into people who are spending money, or at least have spent money. It's a very predatory business practice because it attempts to take advantage of people who might have an addictive personality or who might be drawn in by any kind of gambling. But it's absolutely predatory against those two kinds of groups of people. And it would shock me that it would be added to Conqueror's Blade. Now, I know not everybody has a positive relationship with the publishers or with the developers, and that you have things you disagree with and balance issues and bugs and stuff like that that you just don't like. Every game has that. Not every game has loot boxes. Not every game tries to turn all of their customers, all of their user base, into prey for loot boxes. And some people seek out games without loot boxes to avoid that kind of relationship with the publisher, with the developer. And I think it's very important that this loot crate marks a shift in the marketing strategy or in the sales strategy of Conqueror's Blade. It's very important for any MMO or any game to be able to have a loop that they can exploit to make money. Usually that's in the form of new content in DLCs or in microtransactions such as loot boxes or keys and other things that we've already had in the game before. But this is a new level because it attaches you spending to RNG, and it attaches it to something that doesn't have a limit. This is on a whole nother level, and I think it needs to be responded to, and we need to express our feelings on this immediately. They need to be heard, they need to be felt by the community managers, and I know some have already talked about this in the official Discord. I'd encourage anybody who shares my feelings to go to that Discord and to engage in a discussion about this. Don't rant or rave that they're evil or anything like that, because this is just part of them doing business. It's really an unavoidable step, and what's tragic is that they didn't stop it before it went live, and that we have to react to it at all. And it would have been suggested internally no matter who was working there. It would have come up. So please don't think of it as, us versus them right away. React to it as you would vote with your wallet, essentially. Don't buy them. Express your concern. Boycott spending any additional money, but continue to play the game if you enjoy it. Absolutely do all of those things. Because as you can see, they are selling. People are buying them. And I wouldn't be shocked if some of this stuff that's tightly packed together is the same person buying multiple. And that is absolutely disgusting to see. Because it is absolutely gambling, and specifically certain countries are being very investigative and aggressive against these kinds of in-game gambling that can target children, it can target people who are susceptible to addictive personality issues, and that's why it's not available in France, Belgium, or the Netherlands, is because they're looking more closely at it than many other countries are. And if they did release these in those countries, they might actually have to admit that they are gambling. Or they might be told that, yes, it is gambling. And then that will create a reaction in some other countries that have to then acknowledge it. And then have to maybe force them to get licensing or something like that. And they might actually have to reveal the odds of the loot box as well. Because we don't know, on average, what's the roll rate of 365 days. We don't know that all of these legendary rewards are the same roll rate. We don't know that all of the green rewards are the same roll rate. What if you're much more likely to get 100 than 500? Do they belong in the same tier? Does that justify rolling more crates for you? And it's very difficult to know without knowing the odds of what might be coming out of this thing. So it's very problematic. It's definitely a business practice I disagree with, and that I'm expressing my opinion on right now, right here, and that I will continue to express my opinion on in the official Discord and within my house. I hope that you take the time to look into this further and to take part in the discussion on it, and I hope that my.games or Booming Games or whoever takes a look at this and understands where I'm coming from and where other players are coming from when they say that this is a bad thing for the game. It may be profitable, but it's profitable at the expense of your community and against the people who are most susceptible to this kind of psychological trigger. And that's a major problem. And I hope to talk to you more in the future about this, but in a less rambling way. I really didn't have a script today, so I apologize if I kind of was going off in every direction at once. Thank you, and please like and subscribe if you want to see more things like this. You probably don't.